Hi, I'm Mike Morse. Welcome to another episode of Open Mic with Kevin Dietz, and today we are welcoming Charlie Langton to the show.
Joining us this morning is Mike Morse, Detroit's top attorney. Mike Morse is in here to tell us about the backpack giveaway.
Adapt and change things up a little bit every year. Thanks for being here.
Mike, I'm happy to be here. Now, you got me, first of all, in about 3 hours of sleep. I'll just let you know.
The busiest man in media, this guy right here. He is
What time did you wake up this morning?
So here's the deal. About 3 o'clock in the morning. So we do Let It Rip on Thursdays.
Okay, that was last night.
So we go live 10:30 to 11 p.m. By the time I get situated, whatever, it's about midnight or so.
Okay.
And then I get up to do WWJ. We did a phone-a-thon for Thaw today, but I got up at about 3:30. So I'm working on about 3.5 hours of sleep. Did 5 hours of radio. I'm here. I'm going to go back to WWJ, and then we're going out drinking later on. So,
and you'll have one drink, and you're going to pass out.
Yeah, and then you got the morning shift tomorrow back at Fox 2.
Anchor the news at Fox 2 tomorrow. Again, at about 3:30, I can sleep in a little tomorrow, maybe 3:30 tomorrow.
So on Fox, you're doing weekend anchoring from when to when?
We are on the air from 6:30 to 10, Saturday, Sunday. And then I do Fox 2 Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday reporting. Put together 2 stories. Although we do a little legal segment within that time, and and then Let It Rip too.
Is Sunday night? Oh no, Thursday nights.
So we do a Thursday night Let It Rip with Huel hosts, and then I do my own Let It Rip on Sunday morning, which I host. So and plan the show and produce it and all that stuff. So
and you're on which radio show?
WWJ.
And that's
every 9:50 Monday through Friday. I'm on the air from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Are you out reporting or are you in the studio? You're out on the street.
Usually I'm out on the streets. I actually like that. So if there's a fire going on, a barricaded gunman, that's my specialty, actually. I love that stuff.
And then 3 days a week you go.
3
days a week you go right from the radio station to the TV station.
Yeah, that's hard. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I do a double. I'll get right out of WWJ and I'll at 10 a.m. And I'm usually there by 11 a.m. on Fox 2. I'll get 2 assignments, and I'll put together a story for 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock. You remember those 2-a-day stories, right?
I know what you're talking about.
So, Charlie, I've met a lot of people in the news, and I could almost say you love it. And I think you can really sense that how much you love it. And it's your energy and your personality. And just hearing you talk right now dawned on me that you, and we're going to talk about the fact that you are and used to be a practicing lawyer and you moved into this, and I'm very curious about that, but you love what you do.
Yeah, I don't want the competition from you. I don't want the competition from you.
And I appreciate you getting out of the business.
Getting
out. But so you love what you do.
I do.
And how many years when did you stop practicing full time?
So I signed the story goes back really to the Kwame days, really.
Okay.
When they needed a legal comment, somebody to do legal analysis. Inevitably, the Court of Appeals would make a ruling on Kwame at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, it's kind of hard to get those Court of Appeals opinions, read them, digest them, and then speak somewhat logically about those cases. So I was there. I had done a little bit with Fox 2. I had done a little bit with radio, but then somebody at Fox 2 said, why don't you get me to interpret this and then stick them on the Kwame case? So I was able to kind of follow what was going on with Kwame, and I would leave my firm at about maybe 3 o'clock, and then I'd meet Amy Lang or some other reporter, and I would pretty much go live out in front of the courthouse or whatever it may be. And I did that for a couple,
What year was that? That was in the 2013-ish? Or no, it was before that. 2008 was the first trial.
The more fun one really was the circuit court one, the criminal case one.
The federal.
The federal court, that became, by that time, Judge Groner. Judge Groner was fantastic.
He still is.
He's the best. He'd be a good guest, by the way. Get him on.
You know what?
Put him on. Judge Groner. Oh, my gosh.
I know. I've been in front of him, so I will.
And his wife is a lawyer.
I know Amy.
Yes, that's right, Amy.
So
I had her first, when she left the bench, she became a facilitator, a lawyer appointed by the court to try to settle cases. And I was the first one, I think, that actually appointed her to settle one of my cases.
And did she settle it?
Yeah, of course she did. Yeah, it was good. She's great.
No, she's really good at what she does.
She's good.
So Kwame got you started.
I think and I think that when I was doing the Kwame case and I was watching these reporters and I was saying, let me try it. And I really liked the media. I go back to theater major in college.
Didn't know that.
So I went to Kalamazoo College, and I was a theater major. I had a lot of English classes and whatnot, but I knew I wanted to go to law school. But I always thought that if you wanted to be a trial lawyer, you do have to have some maybe some practice about talking in front of people and putting together something, thinking on your feet. I mean, you know that. And so I've always liked the performance element of it. But in the reality of it, and even in your case, I don't know how many trials you get a year.
Exactly.
It's not that many. And I always tried to try the case. If I could try it, I'll try it. If I can.
That's the best part of being a lawyer.
It's the fun part. I mean, and I do a lot of workers' comp cases, Social Security cases, as well as the personal injury, first and third party lawsuits on that, and whatever it may be, slip and falls. I actually had some defense cases too, but I was always the plaintiff, just like you. Didn't have as many as you. But anyway, so I like the performance aspect. And when I was looking and watching and doing the Kwame cases, and I was seeing these reporters, and I'm thinking, let me try it. Let me just try it. If I'm no good, I'll go back to practicing law. How bad could it be? But I kind of liked it. There's an element of storytelling, and you get to use the words and the video, and even if you can get in some music, some natural sound effects. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can develop a story. And I'll admit, I'm always learning every single day. But I watched reporters that I liked, and I tried to steal as much as I could. And I watched reporters I didn't like, and I'm thinking to myself, what don't I like about them? Is you got to be you, though. You can't not be you. But I think I've got, my voice is a little different, and I don't get bogged down by the facts, but I don't tell a big thing. You make it simple. Forget those facts.
Get those to the paper.
Make it simple. Make it simple.
Well, and you also bring energy.
Relatable.
You bring a lot of energy, and what people see on TV and hear on the radio, that's kind of you off camera too.
I like to have fun.
I mean, this is we were talking. You met one of my daughters before the show, and your energy and your personality was the same as it is right now on camera.
Yeah, tell her to take that trip to Europe, take that year off, and pay for it. Have to pay for it. Right. That's the key.
Yeah, he's high energy all the time. I've seen Charlie hundreds and hundreds of times for years, and he is always on. He's always.
But it's
ready
different,
to go.
right?
It's
He's
great,
got a shtick. I mean, it's
not a shtick though. It is him.
But what's the word? Not shtick.
It's authentic.
But it's authenticity that comes through in everything you report.
What's kind of interesting, I don't want to interrupt you, but so I tried then, I was watching reporters, I said, well, how about an anchor? Oh, that's like an anchor's like a big deal. Oh, a big anchor. And I was wondering if I could do it. And the criticism against me was there's too much energy to be an anchor. An anchor, you've got to be,
you're just reading the news.
And there's a trick to reading too. And that's you have to tone it down just a tad. And you do have to, and that's hard. I like being an anchor. I like the anchor element on television. I kind of think I have to develop just a little bit more, but I think if something happens, I would like to try that. I like reporting on radio because I get to drive the car, I get to go out, and it's fast-paced, really fast, which I like.
How many stories are you doing in a 5-hour period?
10. I'll do 2
10 different stories?
It could be the same story, but different versions of it. Now, it depends. If it's barricaded gunmen, I mean, those things can go on for some of them days. But I always try to do something just a little bit different. And if it's on a barricaded gunman or a fire or a shooting, oftentimes the police will give us little bits of information. Sometimes they'll set up a perimeter, and then they'll move the perimeter. And then they'll do a warning about kids walking to school. Or they'll say, be aware. Oh, they give us the license plate number. So there's always something. And I'm on radio usually at the top of the hour and the bottom of the hour. The leads, not the lead story necessarily, but whatever it is, especially if it's a fire or something
and
major.
They're kind of quicker hits on the radio, right?
Yeah.
So one new piece of information really makes it new.
Yeah. And radio is now. It's happening right now. Whereas television, I mean, within hours, but you can develop it a little bit, although we're under time crunch sometimes. But I like the radio because it's right now. And to me, that's exciting. And if I get an interview with you, I've got to get to you, do the interview, come back, take the bite that I want, edit it, write it, and then voice it.
Yeah.
And I'll do it all every half hour.
Radio, you don't have to. I mean, radio, it's quick.
Quick, it's fast.
So, where'd you go to law school?
I went to Detroit College of Law.
And what year did you get out of there?
87 is my year. 87 is my graduating year. 87.
So what did you do before that?
I was, my father's a lawyer. I worked in his office. I went to Kalamazoo College, went to Kalamazoo, then I went to law school, DCL.
Right after?
Right after. There was a 6-month gap. I thought I wanted to do some acting or television or something like that, but I just went on to law school.
Okay.
And then I pretty much went right into his firm, personal injury law firm, car accidents.
Where was that's Macomb?
Macomb County.
Okay.
Yeah, I was on we had 2 offices, but 14 Mile and DeQuinder, Sterling Heights. So I had a lot of cases in Macomb County, Wayne, Oakland, Macomb for the most part. And I practiced law. I really practiced law, did depositions and client interviews. I did at one point, I did all the intakes, and then I picked the best cases for me. And then I would go in there and develop the case. I did the depositions, subpoena the records, did the interrogatories, did motions if I had to, those summary disposition motions every Friday or Monday or Wednesday, depending on the court. Right. And then if mediation or facilitation, and then settlement conference, and try it if you can't settle it. So I did all that stuff.
And did you like practicing law?
I did. I did. At one point, I had 8 lawyers working for me. Wow. So I had a firm, but it was about that time then I kind of got, I wanted something different. So I did go to Specs Howard, and I was doing cable television for the Macomb Bar Association, which is, I tell you what, anybody that wants to learn how to do something, do a podcast, do a cable, get involved locally, because then you learn how to do this. I think there is an art to doing this. Mm-hmm. And I did it, and I liked it, and I thought that, I can kick this up a little bit. So Specs Howard was actually very good for me.
It's right down the street here.
Right down the street. Yeah. I still... I can brag a little bit here. They just announced the Hall of Fame class,
nice.
So I'm going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Congratulations.
Anyway, but it's good. But I love Specs Howard. It's very good for me because it did give me a discipline. I mean, Kevin Dietz makes it look so easy. It's not. It's not. To do it well.
No, I'm learning as I'm doing this podcast because I'm just winging it.
But you're good. You're good, though. You're good. You've got a TV presence. Have you ever thought about television?
Maybe commercials.
Maybe commercials. I don't know.
So you were practicing almost 20 years, and then you went to Specs Howard?
Yeah, yes.
So that's interesting. I mean, I didn't know that.
I went to Specs Howard at night, and then I remember it very well. At that time, I stopped doing some of these car accidents because of all the discovery, and there was a little bit, but workers' comp, I could do that. So I actually did workers' comp for about 5 or 6 years where it was pretty hot and heavy. The good thing about workers' comp is that there's not a lot of paperwork, a lot of records and things, but you could try more cases. No jury, but you could try more.
That's a tough area. That's a tough area. There's some bad laws right now.
Oh, it's terrible. Oh, if you're injured in this state right now on the job, you better be nearly dead. Because if you're dead, it's no good. If you're nearly dead, you have to be. There are a lot of bad laws.
People are getting screwed left and right in the workers' comp world. So Specs Howard, you knew you wanted to do something in broadcasting, and the Kwame. So Kwame kind of got you started in this new career.
I've said to Kwame, if it wasn't for Kwame, I don't think I would be here right now. I really don't, because the Kwame was such an interesting case.
And you followed it from the beginning.
Pretty much from the beginning. I mean, really
until the day he was convicted.
Until the day I was live in the studio when we knew the jury came back and we were doing the commentating. I had spent a lot of time in the trial. There are others that covered the real guts to the trial, but as far as from the legal point of view, I thought it was fantastic stuff. And now we were even talking about it now, the sentencing of Kwame. So Kwame will never stop. He was a major figure in Detroit, always will be, not necessarily for good reasons, but personally for my career, it got me into the media. And I love that.
Did you ever interview him?
Many times. Well, during the case, I talked to him all the time. I knew him. I knew his family.
How was your relationship with him, would you say?
Very good.
Okay.
I knew Kwame when he was a state rep, but we met up in Mackinac Island, and I don't think Kwame doesn't drink, but he does socialize quite a bit. And he's a fun guy. Kwame is a very fun guy. Do you know Kwame?
Nope. I don't think I've ever met him.
Smart. Really smart. Street smart. He's not academic. They're different. He's not academic at all, but he's very street smart and extremely personable. If Kwame walked into this room right now, he'd light the place up. He just has that personality. And actually, I think people in Detroit want to see their mayor. They want to feel like their mayor's doing something for them. And Kwame was there on scenes, on very serious shootings. Like Kwame would be there. He was a people person and a people mayor. So it's kind of disheartening that all of this bad stuff happened to him. Again, did he make some mistakes? Yes, he did. He was convicted. He had a fair trial. It was a long trial, but a fair trial. So he made some mistakes. But as far as the personality, the charisma, and the smarts enough to be a good politician, I think Kwame could have gone and done whatever he wanted.
What do you think about the sentencing?
I think the sentence was right, and I know I'm going to have criticism for it. I've said it before, but those were guidelines that were appropriate. And here's the kind of the two reasons. Number one, first of all, he's convicted of RICO. Now, we can argue the merits of the RICO, the racketeering law. The prosecution, the U.S. attorneys, they can go back to, they can get evidence in that goes back before the crime started. It's an enterprise. So they can develop the enterprise. Well, geez, that's a big advantage to them. Say what you want. He was convicted of that. Now, so the two things. Kwame was an elected official. If you're an elected official, your guidelines go up. That's just the way it is. And two, the money that allegedly was taken, but proven in court. And we're
it's
talking
not allegedly
millions.
anymore, is it?
It's not.
No, they showed
they convicted-
$850,000 in his bank account that was unaccountable for.
So are we allowed to stop saying allegedly?
Yeah, I think we probably
Okay.
can. But the
But the
those two
guidelines were
things-
higher than 28 years. Kevin told me because
Yeah,
he covered
yeah,
it. It was,
yeah,
it was
yeah, the
judge did
35.
not
You
go
told
as
me.
high as she could have, for sure. And she actually fashioned her sentence after one other politician who had done the same scheme, basically, but took less money. And he was also sentenced to 28 years. And so when people say it's never been done before, that's not true. If you look at the sentencing memorandum, and it's online, you can pull it up. It really spells it out very clearly and what the judge's thought process was. And so she sentenced him to 28, which mirrored someone else who did similar acts but took less money. And she could have gone higher. I don't know the exact number she could have gone up to, but she sentenced him to less than the max.
And so when the judges, there is some merit to consistency with sentencing, and that's the purpose of sentencing guidelines. And so Kwame was within the guidelines. He was in. Now, is it a lot? Yeah, it's a lot, but he's an elected official, and he took a lot of money.
So a lot of people are saying that people, kill people and don't get 28 years, and that he's, the 7 years he served is enough time, and that, they're petitioning people like Carmanos and others are petitioning our current sitting president to give him a pardon or clemency. Do you think that'll happen?
No. And there's no advantage for Donald Trump to give him any kind of a reduction in the sentence. There's certainly not a pardon. But I think that the issue is missed. It should be the Democratic candidate for president. Why wouldn't a Democratic candidate for president come out and say, if I'm president, I'm going to look at the Kwame Kilpatrick sentence? I'm a Democrat. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to get votes in Detroit. And if we all believe that Kwame Kilpatrick is so popular in Detroit, to come here to Detroit and say, I'm going to think about looking at the Kwame Kilpatrick sentence and maybe reduce it, that would be amazing.
It would bring a lot of headlines. But he did, don't you think, though, during his State of the Union the other night, that he was courting the African-American vote?
He was.
And so this, I think, would help. I don't know. I wouldn't put anything past the president. Well, he could put out a thing. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the Kwame Kilpatrick. I'm looking in cities that he's probably not going to get the popular vote. Michigan, what did he win by 6,000 votes or something like
10,000.
10,000 votes.
But I don't think Donald Trump is going to get any more African-American votes no matter what he does. I just don't think it's in the DNA. I just don't think it's going to happen. However, if he can pull maybe 10% of the African-American vote, that's a big victory. I think the problem for voting is that Detroiters have to vote.
Would he lose any voters if he were to
that's the other
give a commutation?
I don't know.
He's not going to pardon him. He's not going to say that crime never happened, but he could commute the sentence.
He would never pardon, commute the sentence, so he's still convicted. It's just a sentence reduction. I think that's more likely, but I don't know that I don't think he's going to do it. Would he hurt his base? I don't think that Trump base can be broken if a bomb went off. I think Donald Trump can do anything, and that base, which is a lot, 35, 40% of people, Republicans, love Trump no matter what he does. So why not? If he can pick up a couple of percentage points, maybe, and it would hurt the Democrats a little bit if he pardoned Kwame or not pardoned, but commuted the sentence or something. But I just don't think it's going to happen with him. I want to see a Democrat come out. What a Bloomberg. He was in here. Why wouldn't he come out and say, you know what? Let's see what happens.
Let's get Bloomberg on the show.
Yeah.
Can you make that happen?
Let's give him a call.
Do it. Call him.
I'm writing that down. We got Groner. And now we got Bloomberg.
Why don't you get Bloomberg to sponsor the show first?
Oh, hold on.
That's even better.
We're working on getting sponsors. We're going to get a pizza sponsor in here because I'm hungry.
That would be good. Where is it?
We're going next time. So let's talk about our current situation. We've been interviewing people in local politics. Sounds like Mayor Duggan is going to have a race on his hands next year. First of all, do you think he's doing a good job in the city of Detroit?
Yes, I do. I think in general, he is doing a good job. I think we're seeing businesses come back to Detroit. I think we're seeing some order in Detroit. I think and I know Dave Bing, I know some of the city council people during that time, but that was chaos. That's like Washington. It's chaos, and that was not good. Duggan is a very smart politician. And he brings the city council in for many, many, many projects, not just openings of new businesses or ribbon cuttings or whatever it is, state of the city addresses. He's a smart politician. And Duggan's got a good business sense. And I think realistically, Detroit's got to grow from the downtown midtown and out. And if you look down at, I'm a big fan of the 7 Mile and Livernois area, the Avenue of Fashion. Have you been down there lately? It's a beautiful
it's coming
area.
Back.
It's coming back.
I do drive by there and stop in there and.
Yes. They get the waffle place has to open pretty soon. Cujo, what's it, Cujo? I can't pronounce it there. But the chicken and waffle place, Cujo's, has to open. It's closed right now. But that whole place is great. Yeah. If you take a look at down by the old Indian Village, but there's a West Village, East Village. I mean, that area is. Look at Corktown. Look at a place called North Corktown.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh my gosh, nobody knows North Corktown.
What's the North Corktown? Is that where the restaurant Magnet is?
It's going to be where Ford is building the cars.
No. A new restaurant called Magnet is Corktown, but I think it's. I don't know if it's north of Corktown.
All right. Well, it's a separate area just over the highway, and it's got a sign that says North Corktown, and no one really knew about it. It was kind of a throwaway place. It's not, though, because you can walk to Corktown, which is hot right now. It's a very hot. The real estate's way up there, but wow, that's really.
That's kind of unexpected too, because you kind of thought that area was lost, and then when Ford said they were coming in, taking over the train station, everybody started buying property over there and investing over there.
Yeah.
So. You think that the magic that's kind of happening downtown is starting to spread out more to the suburbs of Detroit, not just the suburbs like out here, suburbs, but the districts in Detroit. You think it is starting to spread?
I do.
But not to the neighborhoods.
We're talking about the neighborhoods.
I'm talking about the neighborhoods.
I think so. I do think so. Now, listen, I think Brightmoor's got some issues. I think Houston Whittier has some issues on the east side. I mean, I don't think it's all the way. But I do think, though, that once property values start to rise and banks will start financing people out of Midtown and downtown, I think we're going to see a resurgence. And the thing about banks and money, from whatever I know, is that they want some consistency. And I think a brand new mayor right now, I think might hurt things. Again, it's a little speculation. I mean, I'm not a scientist, but what I've been out there, and I think Duggan's got that. He kind of understands that. And a couple more banks opening up to help Detroiters finance homes. I think we're going to see, and I think Duggan is the consistency. He's got the business sense. I think there are already programs going on.
He holds people accountable. So, you have all these departments, 26 departments, I think it is, and he has these meetings. And if you aren't getting your job done, you have a serious problem. He seriously is hands-on in that regard. So if you're talking about getting the buses running in these neighborhoods, so folks who can't find work that they can walk to, they have to get a bus and either come out here to work or somewhere else in the city. If those things are getting done, you will start to see progress reach out to the neighborhoods. But the folks who live in that area, they have to have jobs and they have to be able to get to them. Those are the two biggest crises for folks who are the furthest out and poorest.
Yeah, and I think the schools too. There still has to. That's a problem.
It's not really Duggan's area,
and that's not Duggan's area. It's not. But Sherry Gay Dagnago, I know you've had her. I know she wants to be mayor. Mary Sheffield wants to be mayor. I'm sure there are a lot of other people that want to be. I don't know, Brenda Jones. I mean, there are many people that would want to be mayor of Detroit. And you know what? Fine. Make your intentions known, but maybe in 4 years things will change. I think it would be Duggan's race to lose, I think.
Right. And I think he's going to run. But interesting, what is your take on, I feel like just in the news in the last, since his divorce, since him getting caught out in the Novi, Northville area with the whole scandal with the charity and all that, I feel like he's gone away. I feel like he's not as visible. Do you have that sense being in the media or no?
Well, Duggan does a lot of press conferences. He really does. Yeah. And the Fiat Chrysler building now, that's a big thing. Duggan was really involved in that. The bridge, I don't know how much exactly, but that whole Delray area over there on that side of the world, is changing a lot. And I think Duggan does play a role in that. Okay. And as Kevin mentioned, I mean, he does make people accountable. So I kind of think Duggan is in the news not as maybe as much. Maybe
I think he's maybe like a lot of people do after a divorce, has thrown himself into his work and he's having meetings and things like that. And
I don't know.
But I don't know that he's.
He feels a little underground.
I don't think that he's walking through the the football stadium on Sunday and shaking hands with the public as much.
But that's not Duggan's. That was never Duggan's personality anyway. He was a real big business guy. And just put that on the list, Duggan. Duggan may do your show. Duggan, put that right down. We got no one.
How do you spell it?
Yes, that's right.
It depends. If one mayor ran with one G and one ran with two.
That's right. And he still beat him. But Duggan he's a business guy. He's not a real flamboyant guy. He doesn't have the charisma as Kwame.
Do you think he was treated fairly during that scandal, or do you think that? I mean, do you think he was treated fairly? Do you think it wasn't taken seriously enough? I mean, with the guy following Bob Carmack following him.
You
out.
had him on the show, didn't you?
We interviewed.
I saw
Bob.
I see your podcast.
Thank you.
I see that. Yeah,
he's one of my subscribers.
And when you answer that, think about how Kwame was treated with his extramarital affair. When you talk about the whole fairness, and has the media been too hard on Duggan or too easy on Duggan, too hard on Kwame, too easy on Kwame?
What's your
everything's
opinion?
fair game.
What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think that in the Kwame extramarital affair, though, I mean, she was the chief of staff, and
he lied under oath about it.
And he did.
Duggan never lied under oath.
Duggan never lied under oath.
Duggan never admitted to anything yet either.
Well, he's never been under oath. Would he have lied?
Duggan is smart. You got to be careful if you're representing these people and you know there's some skeletons in the client. Don't put them under. Look at Bill Clinton. Look at Bill. You know about this. But don't go under oath.
But that's right. So it's different. It's not apples to apples. But they definitely railed on Kwame a lot harder about an extramarital affair.
Sure.
They did, no doubt
about it. And that we could say
no
alleged, because nobody saw that, but they just saw him go into a garage with his own clicker, right?
That's true.
Right?
But that's right. And there was a divorce that followed that, and then the story pretty much died down. I mean, it pops back up every once in a while if something comes up with that charity, but for the most part, that's over now.
I think the Duggan story is pretty much over. Pretty much.
And let's talk about that for 1 second. It'll lead me into my next question. Every time they bring up Duggan's name, they don't talk about the extramarital affair or that scandal, do they?
No.
You in the media don't bring that up. But then when Kobe died,
right,
the people in the media, social media, and the real media talked about the rape allegations from 20 years earlier that were, I think thought were dismissed. Like, he was never convicted. He was never anything. He was never went to trial, right? It was dismissed. And yet a lot of official commentators, obituaries, national news, local news mentioned the rape allegations, and I don't know why.
Snoop Dogg is very upset at a lot of the media people for bringing that up.
It's because of social media. So here's what's happening.
When does it
die? Because the whole world is a reporter on Twitter, okay? So anybody with thumbs can type in anything they want to say about Kobe died or whatever issue you want. And the media can't help it. They follow the trends of what's going on social media. You have to. And so all of a sudden you're seeing this Kobe story, and there's the story of the death, and there's this whole other, Twitter war going on about the rape allegations. And some media people kind of put that together as equal because they're both being talked about. And so it finds its way into regular reporting when that wouldn't have happened before social media.
But so what's your opinion, Kevin? And I'm going to ask, obviously, Charlie this after. Do you think that any legitimate media, forgetting social media, should mention the allegations when they're talking about his death?
Well, first of all, I don't think any media should have gone on air with that story before the family was notified, and they did. I mean, they went on. They named them. He said some media said his other daughters died. Some said other people
Somebody
died.
got fired over
These
it.
are all people on, in the media,
so
just doing whatever. The wild
Everybody
west.
wants to be first. Everyone wants to be first with that story.
Or heard, or retweeted, or whatever.
Right.
So there's
That's a good point.
There's this frenzy out there, and no, I don't think that part of the story.
You would report that story though
about the rape.
Oh yeah.
He was not convicted.
He was
he was charged, and then he was charged, and then she. But listen,
and then this 19-year-old apparently didn't want to testify, is what happened, and so the charges were dropped because the prosecutor didn't have a witness. But Kobe was tried. He went through a preliminary exam, and then he was up for trial. And then the witness,
recanted or dismissed.
She didn't want to. Yeah, she felt pressure because
people get charged with crimes.
But
all
20
the
years
time.
later, after all the amazing and
he
the
admitted having
championships,
sex with her. Kobe admitted having sex with her. Forcible sex. There were certain bruises and rips at other
forcible.
places. Well, it was rough sex.
Yes, but that's not
But
forcible.
that's okay. Well,
it was consensual rough sex.
It's consensual. That's what Kobe's story was. The jury's going to buy it, but that was the story. I mean, that was it. She said I was raped. He said it was forcible consensual sex. I don't know. That's why we have juries. But for whatever reason, at that point in time, as I just looked at all this stuff, she then decided I'm not going to testify criminally. However, she did bring a civil suit, and there was a settlement. We don't know how much money. Don't know. So there was a civil suit. So did Kobe buy his way out of this criminal charge? I don't know. Remember, rape, if it's rape, it's up to life in prison. It's very serious. So, and guidelines, at first offense, I mean, he would have done 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years perhaps.
Less than Kwame.
Perhaps. Less than Kwame.
but so, Charlie, you're adamant that had Kevin been reporting this for a local station, he would have said formally charged with rape.
I think you report exactly what happened. If you're factual.
But you didn't go. But they're not.
It wouldn't be very high up in the story.
You don't report every single thing.
It wouldn't be very high up in the story. That's for sure.
That's the difference. That's the difference. So this is a eulogy. So you want to tell the whole story. But I don't associate Kobe Bryant with a rape charge. That is below the story. That's on page 2, maybe page 3 of the Kobe story.
But it's still got to be mentioned.
I think it does.
Forever.
It's a complete. Yeah, probably. I mean, I'll defer to.
Well, if there's you bring up a point. If there was a settlement, so they came to some sort of terms that something happened.
Something happened.
Something happened. If it was just I guess I would never mention it at all if it was a criminal charge and she recanted or changed her mind or decided not to go forward and the case never went anywhere.
What about Michael Jackson? Michael Jackson, was he convicted? He wasn't convicted. No. Well, we bring that up when he died. These are celebrities, and when you're a celebrity, you lose a lot of privacy. You get certain advantages because you're a celebrity. But you give up certain things too. And I think and again, if the story was the top of the line story about something that happened 20 years ago for which Kobe Bryant was not convicted and the charges were dropped, that's irresponsible journalism. But if it's if you want to tell the full story, eulogizing, so he's dead, you want to tell the whole story, I think you have to mention that. Otherwise, you only tell a half story. At the appropriate time.
It just seems so far away. He's done so much good for so many people. He's had such accomplishments that nobody. I mean, not even 1 million.
Let alone the story of the actual crash and why were they flying and what was going on there and did the helicopter. I mean, there's so many stories.
Things. I mean, this is page
before you get to that.
The rape is page 3 or 4 or 5 of the Kobe story, though. But I think he's a celebrity. I mean, you agree, right?
I understand it. I mean, when it happened, I mean, you're like Kobe, and everything rushes through your mind that you think about Kobe or whatever. It's there. It's in your head somewhere. It's not like you just completely forgot that it ever happened.
Sports Illustrated, I understand. I haven't seen it, but they're putting out a 100-page expose on Kobe. On Kobe. Let's see if they mention it. I don't know. I'd be curious.
That's a good point.
I have to think that in 100 pages...
I would not push it to try and make the story better somehow. I guess so. It's like the intent. If he's saying, well, we're going to say everything that happened in his life, it did happen. There's a court case document, whatever. But if you're like, hey, Kobe died, you remember him, he was charged with rape tonight at 11. Come on. I mean, that's so...
I think it's a problem. But let's see what happens in the Sports Illustrated article.
Kind of interesting.
So somebody recently, I was at a legal conference and we were talking about what channels I advertise on or whatever. And we're talking about Fox, and I'm definitely on Fox often.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I probably pay part of your salary.
I
Charlie.
hope so. Because I'm looking for a raise. Help me out. Can I come more commercials?
I'll make a call.
Good, please.
But they were surprised because Fox throughout this country has this right-wing Republican slant. And I thought about that. So, well, not in Detroit.
Not in Detroit.
And so how can you try to explain that to me? Like, I know that they're all owned by Rupert Murdoch, right?
Yeah.
He still owns them. And I don't know what percentage of them across this country are very conservative, very Republican, very right wing, yet not in Detroit. Now, are we unusual, or does this happen in the cities like ours? I don't know. I didn't know how to answer him.
Well, it's a good question, and I may defer to my superiors to the ads with you guys, but to me, though, a lot of, as I understand it, we have a very little editorially or whatever to do with an agenda. We get assigned a story, and that's it. I think we try to look at both sides, but I do know, or my sense is anyway, that we're very popular in Detroit, which is very largely, which is largely Democrat, and
75% of my clients come from Detroit.
And I would say Fox 2, other than 4 and 7, I would say Fox 2 is more popular. I mean, and again, I think the numbers bear it out, though. I wish I had them now, but we are now. So I don't think that the people in Detroit think of Fox 2 as Fox Network. There's
Fox and Friends.
We are Fox and Friends.
Different people.
No, I know it's different people, but it's owned by the same person.
Right.
And that's the curiosity.
But we are very territorial here in Detroit. I mean, we don't care about a lot. We care, of course, we care about other things. But in Detroit, who's covering the story? Who's the reporter doing the story? How are we writing the story? And what are we covering? We make an effort to go to Detroit. I'm in Detroit.
I think the bigger issue is if reporters are pushed away from stories because of advertisers, then whether it's right or left leaning. I mean, in my 25 years, nobody ever said, that story's too conservative or that story's too liberal or anything.
Right. But on Fox and Friends and the Fox Network cable national is pretty darn right wing. There's very few liberal news people on that station, and I do think you guys do a great job, and that's why I'm on your station, because I think from the TV shows to the news, which you guys got a ton of, you do a great job. So that's why I'm there, and I'm not advertising on Fox and Friends on cable. So
thank you. I've got a job. That's good.
No, you're in good shape.
That's good. Whew.
You're in very good shape.
That's good.
So
that's good.
When did we first meet?
You probably don't remember this.
I don't.
But you. Mike Morse was one of if not the first lawyer to ever go paperless. So what that means is that when I interview a client, I take out a pen, and I'm so shocked you even have pens here. I would write down name, I'd write down all information. They don't do this around here, and you haven't done this for years. Everything is computerized. But not just the client interviews, the medical records, the all of the documents that we use as lawyers.
Sure.
And you gave some kind of speech or something at the Oakland County Bar Association, where I must have been a part of, and you were saying how everyone should go paperless because. And I was like, who's this? I don't know, Mike.
This is 2005, 6, 7.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
Long time, maybe even before that. And I was shocked, and I was thinking, because I had a law firm too, and I'm thinking, you know what? One of my big expenses is what do I do with these files? Look at these files, can be this big. Storage is terrible. And I would love to go paperless. And we did make some modifications, and in part because of you. And I think you have changed the way good law firms can work a case, because now anybody can pick up a case with obviously passwords, of course, it's protected, but you can get right into what you want. You can zero in on the exact medical
on your phones. My lawyers have their files on their phones.
It's unbelievable. And that started you. So that's where I first met you, and we didn't really know each other that well.
But I remember I was making a tour because I was so adamant about there was lots of reasons to protect us from things that could happen to your files, but also for the environment, for losing trees and toner and postage and all of this nonsense. And we went paperless. We scanned every file. Everything was able to look up on the phone. And we actually had a fire in 2008 in my building on Southfield Road. And we were in court an hour later because everything was on a server, and my lawyers were able to download it. And I went around the country actually giving some speeches on that, because going paperless, and now everybody's paperless.
Federal courts are doing that too.
And it's amazing. So, all right. So,
let's say the other thing too is, Michael Morse. Who's this? All right. So then I was a mediator. So again, a mediator is appointed by the judge, and usually there are three of them. So I represented the plaintiff. There's a defense for the insurance company and a neutral. So three of us. And somebody from your office, I don't know who it was, brought in 3 cases from the Michael Morse law firm, 3 car accident cases. And then we get a stack of mediation. We do 25, 30 of them in a day. But there were 3 of them from your case. Jesus, this guy's got 3 cases. All right, let's see what they are.
That was a light day for us.
That was a light day. So the first one, it was a pretty good case.
Just a morning session.
You know? And then the next one, that's another good case. And the third is another good. We gave you a lot of money then.
Is that when you retired? You're like, all right, I'm done.
I say, I'm out. I can't compete
My
with this
cases
guy.
are pieces
I'm
of
going
crap.
to TV.
Listen, I can compete with Kevin Dees, but this guy, no way. No
That's
way.
hilarious.
It's true.
Well, I appreciate that, and we now have days where we have 10 on a panel. I mean, it's awesome. So, one of my last questions, I think we have the Academy Awards coming up this Sunday. Anybody seen any of the Best Picture nominations? Anybody have?
I saw The Joker, and I thought it was really good. It was dark. It was good though. I know I saw a couple others. Do you know do you have in front of you what the names
I don't,
are?
but my girlfriend and I decided that this week every night we're gonna see a different one.
Yeah.
And so last night we saw Parasite.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this?
I have. I've heard of it.
You didn't see it?
I didn't see it. No, I didn't see it. Darn, I want to see that.
So I didn't know this, but guess
right
what?
now.
You can rent them on Apple.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go on iTunes and rent them. And so we saw that last night, and it was a Korean film with subtitles, so you got to read, which I don't mind. And it was amazing. And it was completely different. It was like part comedy, part thriller, part horror film. Highly recommend it. 2 nights ago, we saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I saw that. I saw that.
I wasn't crazy, but I saw it. Didn't like it.
Really?
I saw The Irishman
What
too.
didn't
Now
you
that
like
I have it
about
pulled
it?
up.
I thought it was too much like a Pulp Fiction. I thought Leonardo DiCaprio was really acting too much, and he tried to be John Travolta character, and
I liked him. I said, I think he might win.
I haven't seen them all, so I'm a little at a disadvantage. It
I
wasn't
saw
my
Marriage
favorite.
Story. Did you guys see Marriage Story?
No.
I saw
Was that
Marriage
good?
Story. It struck me as very interesting in that the acting I thought was phenomenal, both by the male and the female.
Yeah.
But you're watching it, it's just about a couple that's getting divorced.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just like, why am I spending 2 hours watching this couple fight into a divorce? But the acting was actually pretty good.
I believe that.
You know what I mean?
It didn't do anything for me.
No. The movie didn't
do
a lot, but I did think the acting was good.
The Irishman.
What do you think of that?
Irishman, I fell
too
asleep
long.
during it 3 times.
Yeah, it was too long.
Yeah,
and I get what's going on. Okay, let's move it along here.
I like the parts that were filmed in
developing
Detroit,
it, right?
The Detroit aspects.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good.
It was cool.
Battlefield Hills.
Yeah.
I liked how they made everybody look so young.
Yeah.
That new technology. I thought that was really interesting. A little off-putting because you know that these guys aren't looking that good.
What else? There were another couple.
I did not see Jojo Rabbit and Little Women.
No, I didn't see
1917, Ford versus Ferrari.
I didn't see that one. I want to see that one.
I will see that.
I think that might be
haven't yet.
tonight. I might watch that one tonight. Or the Marriage Story based. You didn't love that.
It was,
No, it was good.
Little
It was
Women.
fine, but
Somebody
I
told me
didn't
Little
see that.
Women today was great.
I've got to see those. I
Well,
haven't seen it.
there's time.
There's
We got
time.
till
I've got some
Sunday.
time. I've got some time.
You got some time, but you're working too much. So when you're
Yeah,
done drinking, go home tonight.
I know.
And download one of the
7 days.
shows.
I might.
Well, anyway, thank you for coming on the show.
This was very fun. Thank you for having me.
great.
This was good.
This was
good.
really
very fun.
enjoyable. I hope you come back.
Yeah, let me know. I'd love it. I'd
And
love it. On this,
Next time you come back, we'll do an hour on the Macomb County corruption scandal.
so much there. Oh my gosh. Yeah, what's going on with that? We've got there's so much corruption going
But
on.
it is good that people did say, when Kilpatrick went down, they said, oh, of course, it's an African American mayor, and so the feds are coming in. Well, they took information from that case. That's what started the Macomb County investigation. And all these years
don't think I
later,
knew that.
they are still racking them up
There's
and
dozens
stacking
and
them up.
dozens and dozens.
Oh yeah, and
right?
they're still going. Yeah.
Have you had the is it Bob Beckman?
He put his name
you put
down.
that name
I
on the
talked to him. I invited
He
him to
is-
be on the show.
He is the lead investigator in the Kwame Kilpatrick case.
He did the case. I actually called him. He said he would come on. He
Oh,
said we
he's-
have to get his permission from his boss, though.
Who does he work for?
FBI.
Yeah, he did the Kwame
He's
case.
FBI.
Let's call him.
Yeah, no,
No,
I talked to
I
him.
got
about
the
it.
number right here.
He's absolutely
I talked to him. We need to call. We need to get approval from his boss. is what he
Roner,
said.
Bloomberg, Duggan, Beckman.
Just make sure you tell him it's
Sounds
for
like-
the Kwame case. But yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
And are you sure sure you want him in here. Not when Charlie's around. Not when Charlie's around.
No, Beckman's fantastic though, and the Kwame story about how they wired up people and then tried to get them into a restaurant, and some of the restaurants didn't take reservations, so they had to make sure the table was open. I mean, there's funny stuff, and that's the way the FBI works. I mean, it's a fascinating story. Not for Kwame, but for us.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more news.
He said he would do it.
Awesome. All right, Charlie, stay in touch.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for watching and listening the Open Mic Podcast with Kevin Dietz and Charlie Langton today. We talked about lots of issues. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please tell your friends, forward it to whoever you want, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.